am uber passionate about bikes and accessibility and inclusion, so I might go down a few bird walks. Be prepared. This picture is in Crescent View, Colorado. That is where I worked this past summer, and that is where I really went headfirst into adaptive cycling and working with adaptive athletes. So a little bit about me. I just told you about my fiery burning passion. I am from Iowa. I graduated from University of Iowa, like I said, and now I'm living in Breckenridge, Colorado. Okay, before Breckenridge though, I went to Crescent View, Colorado to do an internship with the Adaptive Sports Center. Have any of you guys heard of them? Yes, yes? Oh, yay, I love it. Yes, love it. Okay, so today I'm here. I was gonna come and just show my bike, but I was like, what better opportunity is there to spread awareness about adaptive cycling and frame building and all of that, because we always feel like there's always someone who knows someone who could be more active, wants to be more active, doesn't know where to start, et cetera, et cetera. So that is one of the biggest reasons I'm here today, is to share that. So CTRS, or recreational therapist, my actual title is Certified Therapeutic Recreation Specialist. So what we do is we work with all sorts of populations of people, whether it be physical disabilities, intellectual disabilities, mental illness, cognitive learning disabilities, all of that stuff, wherever you choose to go, is what we can do. And what we do is we work with people really to be a support system, a friend with professionalism, and help them develop these hobbies, or help them like direct their life in these goal-driven ways, but through recreation. So through enjoyable experiences, rather than sitting in a therapist's office and saying, okay, this is what I need, this is what I want, I don't know how to get it. It's like, no, let's go outside, let's go play, and let's talk about it. So that is that. Also, I'm super open. I am someone who, when I sit through seminars, I'm like, okay, question, oh, I have that, and I don't know if I'm gonna remember it, and I wanna listen to the rest. So I raise my hand in the middle. I try not to cut people off, but it happens sometimes. And so please, if you have any questions throughout this, just raise your hand at a good time, and even if it's not a good time, let me answer questions throughout this. Okay, so Jake O'Connor has anyone heard of Jake O'Connor? Anyone? Okay, perfect. He is a frame builder out of Crescent View, Colorado. I'm gonna show you a video in a second about him, so I won't give it too much of it away. He's a certified badass. He has that behind his name. Just kidding, he doesn't. He is just incredible, the work he does. My view of him is he's allowing people with disabilities to reintegrate into biking, create new purpose within their own lives, and he's promoting independence. And independence is huge, and I'm sure you can talk on side of that, is being able to be independent when you have to use a chair, or get to use a chair. I don't know how you frame it. It's wonderful. It's wonderful for me, it's wonderful for you guys, and we all want to be independent. So, this is a video that not Wall Street Journal, but Wall Journal, someone did a video on him, and I'm going to show you guys. Is there a light switch back there?
You're in the most beautiful place on earth, riding on ice and snow and getting blown around. I mean, it's definitely a unique experience. It's simply another genre of mountain biking, putting enormous tires on your bike. It just spreads the weight of the rider and the bike over a larger area, so you can float on the snow or on the sand. In 2001, I got involved in a construction accident in northern Colorado. 20 foot wide, 20 foot tall exterior wall. Came back down on top of me, broke a lot of my ribs, and broke my back. I was an outdoorsman before I got hurt. I loved fishing and hiking and being in the backcountry. We went biking down the rec path, and the river was right next to us. Like, hey man, do these things go through water really well? And he's like, well, not really. It's like, see you later. And I just dove right into the river and completely submerged the bike. I was just like, this is the greatest thing ever. I bought that bike from him and rode it the hell out of it, broke it, beat the crap out of it, and I was hooked. It worked great. It was an awesome little bike, but it just wasn't doing the gnarly stuff that we were wanting to do out here.
And my friend Sam, who was talking at the end, she was able to, she sat in a bike, when was it? 3 or 4 months post-injury last summer. And so it was pretty cool. I was like, she was at the Adaptive Mountain Bike World Championships, where all of our athletes, all 16 of our athletes, they were hand cycling. Some of them had e-assist, electric assist, up Crested Butte Mountain. And I was one of the guides following them, and it was just like, I can't imagine hand cycling up a mountain. That's really difficult stuff right there. And she was there, and I was with her, and I was like, no, I want to get you on a bike. I want you to sit on a bike. She got injured riding a road cycle. A car just hit her from behind, and she went into the ditch, and she's quadriplegic now. And so her being able to sit in the bike was really a big thing for her. So like she said, that was her first big ride in a while. So at the Adaptive Sports Center, before I get too deep into this, I kind of want to get a feel for you guys. Who is interested in just whatever I have to say? Okay. Who is interested in the actual, like, what bikes Jake builds himself? Like, more intensely on, like, the purpose of each bike, his frames, etc. Okay, cool. Who wants to hear more about, like, the Adaptive Sports Center and kind of what they do and what they can do? Okay. Okay, we're gonna roll with that. So I'm gonna go through some of these pictures. These are pictures that I took. I got permission from all of the people of having my photos up here, but these are pictures that I took when I was on the job this past summer. So this is one of my dear friends, Parker. He's from Oklahoma, and he is just the happiest can be. This bike it was not made by Jake at Reactive Adaptations. It was made by an ice company, but this bike allows him to be independent riding rather than on a recumbent tandem. So, and I had to include this picture because this is what biking does. Like, this is what biking does for a lot of us. And every time he comes to bike, he's like, I'm excited to bike, I'm ready for it. And he's always just so pumped, and so it gets me pumped. So this is recumbent tandem. Jake did not build this one. It's the same brand as that other one. They aren't as, compared to Jake's bikes, they aren't as, they're first of all more road cycles, and they aren't as adaptable to each individual's needs. So this bike allows people, we take participants who are blind on this bike. We took participants who have cerebral palsy and don't have as much leg functioning. Really anyone who needs it, but those are the two main people that two main populations that we would take on that. Yeah, anyone who needs it, really. So these bikes, they're all made by Jake. So this one will go into his page, and actually I'm just gonna flip back and forth with this. So these bikes are specifically made for mountain biking. And with this bike, there are many different things going on. He talks about, in the video, he talked about that handlebar, kind of that feeling with mountain biking, to make it feel as normal as a two-wheeled bike as he can on a three-wheel bike. So we have all of these points of adjustment. So right here, you can pull out this crankset and make it longer for a person. Back here on number 7 area, you can make this go back and forth to adjust to the person's need. What we try to do with people with disabilities is we try to stack their skeletal system, because the more you stack their system, the more strength they'll have in the other areas that they do have higher functioning. It kind of looks like a crow when I did that, but okay, back on track. So there's that, there's the seat adjustment. Another big thing we do is like in here and on the bikes that have leg buckets, essentially, like carbon fiber buckets for people who don't have leg functioning, we put padding in on all the sides, so then the rubbing and abrasion doesn't happen, because they can't feel what's going on in their legs, so we gotta protect them. They don't know when it's cutting them open. So a lot of padding is used in adaptive mountain biking, and this is, it's like a, I think it's a 2x11, 2x10 or 2x11 on the chain rings or cassette, in the speeds that they can go. So this is a bike that we would use for people with cerebral palsy, for people who are blind, people with MS, because it gives them more control up here for steering, and it allows them to sit back and put their strength into their pedaling. I don't know how to exactly explain that better, but well, down in Austin, Texas, it is a school for teenagers who are blind. And so what we did is, there's always a guide up front, but this kid he's almost fully blind. He has a little bit of vision in one of his eyes, but this bike, you could see enough to be somewhat safe on a trail. Yeah, I didn't realize how high risk this stuff was until after I got out of it. I was like, you know what? Yeah, this stuff we're doing is pretty badass. Pretty high risk too. But it's like the adventure that we all want, you know? And so these kids, I actually hung out with this group a lot. I went to their debriefs after each activity every day, and they talked about, it was amazing, their confidence throughout the week. They started at this place of like, oh, hi, my name's this, my name's that. I'm excited to be here. And at the end of the week, they're like, yeah, I can do this. I want to try that. This kid right here he's pretty much fully blind. He has retinitis pigmentosa, which is a degenerative disease of the retina, and it shrinks over time. Not shrinks over time, but you lose eyesight over time, and most people end up completely blind. And his is degenerating very, very quickly. It's pretty sad, but we're like, all right, well, like, what can we do to you, or not to you, what can we do for you to help you feel the best you've ever felt? And he was like, I want to try a two-wheel bike. This kid is almost blind, you guys. He's like, I want to try a two-wheel bike. We're like, okay, well, let's see what we can do. So we go, he's like, I haven't ridden one ever, because he's always had this. So everyone's always too scared to let him do it, and doesn't have the resources maybe, or you can't see, you can't do this. We were like, all right. So we went to a lot and he got on a bike. He got on a 2-wheeled bike. And that in itself, I don't want to say amazing because I hate just being like, oh, this is amazing, this is incredible. It's like, this is freeing. This was freeing for him. Knowing that he is, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it because he wanted to do it and someone finally gave him a yes. Yes, you can, Miguel. Let's try it. And he's all nervous. He's like, I've never done it. It's like, okay, that's okay. We're right here. We are right here for you so we can support you to our best ability. And he got on that damn bike and he rode around. Really short, but he got off and he's like, I rode a 2-wheeled bike. And we're like, yes! And I'm not kidding you, the whole rest of the week, his confidence was just something I'd never seen out of him before. And so it was a really beautiful, beautiful thing. And he's really good at saying I can. And he got better. He got better at saying I can and I want to and I want to try by the end of the week. And that is the kind of stuff that we're looking for with recreation and outdoor recreation. So this is the nuke or bomber. This is the, let me think. This is the bomber, and it's a fat tire bike built for mountain biking. It is compared to the Stinger, which we just looked at the geometry or what was going on with that one. It is, Jake builds this one. It's just a fat tire knit for mountain biking. And then this one's more so for road cycling and gravel and all of that. Yeah.
When someone is guiding someone who is blind, what kind of sound localization source does the guide use so that the person who's blind can follow?
It depends on the person and how the person likes to be guided. So what part of our whole assessment in the beginning of the day is, hey, I'm gonna be following you, or you're gonna be following me, or we're gonna be on this tandem together. And they say, oh, I work best in clock. So you say, okay, at 3 o'clock, we're gonna have a turn, or in 10 feet, or in 5 clicks. So we do like a beaded click.
I understand that, but how does the guide communicate to the cyclist that that's coming up if they're not on the tandem?
That's where it depends on the individual. By sound is a big thing. They work well in feet too. Is that what you're asking?
Well, but more like how do you communicate that to the if they're this far behind or however many feet behind the guide riding independently on a bike?
We always have guides around. So like if I'm in front and there's 2 participants here,
Right.
there's a guide
Gotcha.
right next to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever
Especially-
thought about headsets?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Like tandem, like folks use on tandem?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think, yeah, we had never talked about that, to be honest. I think the only worry I would have with that is road stat, like if you can't hear the road, but if you only had one in, that would be, that's a good idea. And make note of that one, thank you. So this is just a video that I took. This kid is actually almost fully blind too, and he's riding one of Jake's bikes. This is the bomber again. So it's like because of adaptive cycling and adaptive centers and Jake O'Connor and everything, kids are able to enjoy nature like this. And adults, anyone is able to do this. And that's the big thing is we need to, as a society, we need to allow this to happen more often. And that takes funding and that takes advocacy and all of that, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible to get more people out there doing this stuff.
I had a couple things I wanted to
Yeah.
say with that. From my standpoint, what you were saying about them enabling it, it doesn't matter. A younger person, probably they've dealt with it the whole time they were growing up. I was hurt snow skiing when I was 27. But even as an adult, the fact that I was hurt makes people want to protect you and not let you do anything that would be risky. And, you know, the ability to get out there and do it for yourself. One of the first rides that I did solo was really empowering for me. Being able to launch the bike, get outside, get on it, go for the ride, get back home. You know, she's at work. I did have to send her a Strava beacon to say, oh, here's where I'm at. But, you know.
Oh, whoops. Your ride's over.
Yeah.
Good. Moving along.
Yeah, really kept up. So. But the fact that I was able to, you know, get the bike out of the house myself, get onto it, prepare everything for when I got back, to be able to get back into the chair, go back inside, meant a lot to me because, you know, I've been in a chair 25 years. That was last year, I think, was my first solo ride, or maybe it was 17. But it's really important for a person's self-esteem, ego, belief in themselves, belief in what they can do. It's very helpful. I mean, I've since my injury, you know, gone back to school, I work, and I think just the fact that I could do something recreational that I didn't have to do to get day-to-day, you know, just standard living that everybody does. Hey, you know, go out and get on a bike. It was really empowering and important for me, and I can only keep up with a few things at a time. So what you were talking about, the injuries, the circulatory stuff, because the healing, that's always been my concern about the descent bikes is, you know, chafing and everything, because if I ever get an injury on my legs, feet, knees, or whatever, it takes a while to heal, and I have to be really cautious to, you know, similar to a diabetic, not get progressive injuries that could then compromise and, you know, end up losing a limb, because they don't do a lot for me, but they're nice because you buy shoes in two. I don't want to buy just one shoe and throw one away. So that's a really important thing. And the last thing,
that's a really good point. Something I want to point out with that is people who don't have feeling in their waist down or wherever, if they don't have feeling, they don't have those neurons to make, or the neurotransmitters to make those stimuluses and all of that. The healing takes so long. If they get a simple cut, that can turn into a staph infection so much easier on them than it does for any of us fully able-bodied people.
I'll add to that a little bit.
Yeah.
My background is a physical therapist. I'm a certified wound specialist. So primarily I deal with people that have sensation issues, diminished sensation or no sensation at all. So my question is about how, similar to what he was addressing, how do you accommodate the sensation or the lack thereof in padding, in positioning, in accommodating for doing something off-road where a lot of things can come at you from different angles, and you can get a cut just by a branch coming by you. So how do you protect those insensate body parts?
Thank you for that question. We do a lot. So the first thing we say is pants and long sleeve t-shirts. That's our biggest thing that people can do to help protect themselves. Then, as he's not wearing one, he refused to wear long sleeves. He's one of my buddies now, but he's so stubborn. So what we do is we have buckets full of padding, and we stuff it. Let's say, I don't think these chairs. So let's say, like, this is that seat right there, and he's in this position. He doesn't have feeling in his chest down, stomach down-ish. He has a little bit in his chest. But what we do is he has all this blue that you see right here. Let's say that is space for his legs. And so what we do is we stuff padding in there that fits it nice and securely. And if needed, we put like a Velcro strap over, or sometimes we used bike tubes to keep body parts in and stable. We do that, and then let's say his feet are, not that you can see it, His feet are in like that carbon bucket that I was kind of talking about. They're 2 leg pieces, and I'll show you it on Jake's website. But it's 2 buckets, and what we do with that is we also stuff padding down there, because there's also bolts and stuff in there that can definitely, you know, that hit the skin and all of that. And so we stuff it mostly with all different kinds of padding, open celled, closed celled, whatever is best for the individual for their maximum comfort. And so it takes, on our part, we want to make sure their upper body, you know, if they can't feel in their lower body, we want to make sure their upper body's comfortable. And so we do that and all the adjustments to that, and then we do the legs, and then we just make sure that their legs aren't gonna pop out, you know? And so that's more so the straps and the bike tubes and all of the padding.
Yeah, and along that too, like you're talking about, it's good for protection and everything, but the padding, the more firmly you pack it in there, it makes them kind of one with the bike.
Exactly.
So that you can feel and maneuver the bike
Exactly.
a bit more stable.
Yeah. And that's what we're going. So, anything else off of that? Did I answer your question?
You did, but I'm just wondering if you've ever had somebody who does, despite all that padding and protection and containment, that develops hot spots and starts to get skin breakdown, and then how do you address that going forward?
Time.
So, yeah. We really, with our programming, it really doesn't happen much. It really doesn't. And throughout the day, we take breaks, we, you know, go back for lunch, and most of the time people, like this guy actually, he didn't use his chair during lunch, he just wanted to stay in there, but most of the people transfer into their chairs and, you know, take breaks and let their bodies breathe kind of deal. But because of all the padding and all the kinds of padding, it really, like, it doesn't happen very often. And the way that Jake has these, I'm gonna pull it up while I'm talking. The way that Jake has these buckets for the legs, I wish I had a better word for that. It just, yeah, it doesn't happen very much. That's a bummer.
Yeah, I don't want to speak for her. I think where possible with time, progressive steps to see, you know, this, as I'm sure you know everybody's injury is exactly, and know where your limit is, and okay, we're starting to see something here, so you'd have to break it.
And this
This point.
seems like a younger population as well, so they're everything's working a little better from that standpoint.
But the oldest person I worked with this summer was 77.
Wow.
Hmm?
And he was going biking. The youngest person I worked with this summer was 18 months old. So, and that kid went paddleboarding with his family. He was nonverbal, he was very low functioning, but his mom was like, no, I want to get him out here. He was smiling, I have the cutest picture of him, and so it's like, we work with all ages, and older ages, that is a note that we talk about in our group team meeting in the mornings without participants there is, okay guys, so we have a 54-year-old guy, he is quadriplegic, he said he notes that he has sensitivities in these areas. So we go through every single client and the information that they've given us to make a pre-assessment, and then once they get there, that's when the real assessment happens of like, oh, okay, your skin is extra sensitive, okay, we need to do this for you. So that would involve padding, that would involve straps, you know, like all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and as far as recovering time's about the only thing. I mean, Tegaderm is awesome, but time is really it. My previous bike, I reclined it back further than it was really intended, and didn't pay attention to the seat. Got an issue in my lower back that took about 9 months. Partly because I'm okay, I'm good, I can get back up.
Just in their lower spine, so it didn't completely make them function different, but it still was enough where they weren't considered fully able-bodied. And so they were riding, like, there's 2 participants, maybe even 1, who's riding a sit-up or stand-up bike. But my point where I'm getting at is we spend like the first 2 days, this group spent 4 days biking. The first day and a half to 2 days, it was all like adapting. It was all like we weren't really riding in a group because there's people who were behind that we're trying to adjust to, and all about making it comfortable. And that's why they planned for 4 days, is because they knew that it takes about a day or two to get comfortable on a bike. And then the people keep that bike for the next 2 days. So then it's set up for them, it's fine, they don't have to worry about adjustments, it's right how they want it. So this is his new recumbent bike. These levers right here, has anyone seen these braking systems before? Yeah, okay. Yes, Anna. So you put your arm through, or your hand through these areas right here, and you can use your wrist. My friend Chris, who's quadriplegic, he was able to use these because he had some feeling in his hands, and not much, but these worked for him well enough where he could just pull his wrist, and these wrists, it breaks him and stops him. Not break, it breaks him. And so there's two on here. So this bike can be steered here, or it can be steered up here, or it can be both. And there's a component right here. This will keep going around and around if he's on here. So there's a component right here where you can plug it in, plug it over, and it stops this from going around and around if someone prefers these sources of control. So these right here are the handlebars. We usually wrap the hand to get them to like nice and secure on there. Chris he wore gloves, and we also used a strap to get his hand to stay there. And he is strong. He's very strong, and he biked up that mountain so good. But so that's the steering system, and then the braking system. You see the belt here. That is the lap belt for people's bodies to stay in. You see the straps here to keep the legs in. And then most of the time, we would put another strap here, but actually sometimes they didn't need it. Like that upper strap kept their legs in really well. And so this is the bucket, the leg buckets that I was talking about, which kept their legs in really well. And then that's the whole front of it.
So that's an electric assist in the rear wheel?
This one is, yes. But he builds all sorts of you call him kind of thing, and he's like, okay, so what do you want? And then you're like, well, I want electric assist, but I want 2 braking mechanisms. And he's like, okay, I'll do that for you. You know, it's very customized.
So it looks like most of his bikes are the recumbent 3-wheel style. Does he make any that accommodate for different amputees? Single limb, double limb, mixed, upper, lower?
That mixed, yes. So these are just like this is basically what he makes, but he does more than what he has on his website. And I'll show you a couple of those pictures. Like, I'm trying to think of a bike for someone who is a double amputee in the arms. I don't think he does anything for people like that, but I don't think he'd be opposed to doing
Like the buckets, the
seats. I don't have an exact answer for that, but I know that a good amount of them are bought from other places. But so how many welds do you guys think a normal bike has? If you know, don't say it. Like a normal 2-wheeled stand-up bike. How many welds on that bike? Or on that frame? Wild guess.
Oh.
That's a really good guess. It's usually like 15 to 20. Yeah. Guess how many welds an adaptive cycle has?
25.
Anywhere from 100 to 150. Yeah.
And that's why her question's really valid, because if you break or damage something, cross translation, I was talking with a vendor down there, a lot of the components on my hand bike are fairly standard other than the frame
Exactly.
itself. So I can go to a bike shop or I can get it worked on at a bike shop if it's something beyond my ability. But if it's very specialized and you break it, you're down till he can get it through manufacturing to get a
Yeah.
replacement.
So his bikes are pretty standard. Like the parts pretty much are standard to a normal bike. Like I've maintained, yeah, I've done a lot on his bikes and adjusted things and whatnot, and they pretty standard, which is nice because you want to be able to fix your bike not for $1 million. And that's the biggest thing. That's my biggest thing with adaptive cycling that really kind of got me this summer was like, okay, so how can people get these bikes? Like these are amazing, yes, but how much are they and how can people access them?
That kind of ties into another point I wanted to mention a minute ago, because it might be something that will come up later, but the cost, I don't know how much he charges for his, but it's very prohibitive for a lot of people. I was
Exactly.
fortunate enough, I'm sure you've probably heard of Kelly Brush Foundation.
Yeah.
They helped me get my new hand bike, and I only went just for that one because I have the means to pay for the rest of it since I work. A lot of people have to do multiple grants and get the price down where more people can get out there.
Yeah, and that's my only, I think that's my only hard part about adaptive cycling is like, how can we make this more accessible to people that don't have the money to do it? And Jake, on his website, I wanted to show you guys this in case you know someone who might want to go into this, or in the future you meet someone. He has a tab called funding.
Yeah.
His website is reactiveadaptations.com, and if you're looking for assistance with funding, check out the following foundations.
And I started to type that in on my phone at his site on my phone so I could look at it later, and it populated out because I worked through bikeon.com to get my hand bike, and Reactive Adaptations was one of
There's Callie Brush.
their vendors, yes.
Yeah. So here's a
she's
full page of how you can get funding. Even if you're not going through him, if you know someone who's trying to get a bike and needs funding, which is probably almost, I would say a majority of people.
What do his bikes go for?
I think they start at 8,000 is what I saw, and I think that's what I saw. But like I said, if you reach out for those opportunities, I'll let you talk on this one.
No, I was just going to say also, if not necessarily if you're looking for a bike, but if you have money that you're wanting to give to somebody, this is a good group of people to donate to.
Yes.
Kelly Brush is completely reliant on donations to distribute, and that's why even though they gave me a lot of help, we said, we're going to, as we can, continue to fund because it is very helpful for a lot of people. But
Yeah, my friend Sam, who was in that video, she actually just got her bike from Jake through the Kelly Brush Foundation.
They're a wonderful group, yeah.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
So this is a page full of just funding opportunities for word. I hate that word. I just told myself not to say that word. Unit. And it was the most touching, amazing, like that is the population I work with because that's where I came from. And they don't have the money to do this stuff. So, they have mental illness and then they're also physically disabled. Like, how can I help empower this kid to get on a bike? How can I help them get a bike? That's the biggest thing. So those funding sources are something that I keep in my favorites on my computer. As you can see that it's started right here. So this is some of his stuff that's not necessarily his product, but this was made for,
Oh yeah, chairs on the back, that's very important.
yeah, so that'll go to that. Yeah, so
there.
the chair is right here. So that's pretty rad. So he does things that aren't necessarily on his page, which is pretty cool. And I don't only want to talk on behalf of him, but I just want people to know that he is a resource that's here, and there's a lot of funding opportunities. That you to know that there are opportunities for this, and it's just a matter of Googling it, you know, like adaptive bike or whatever. This was real quick. This was a little friend of mine named Emery. She's 6 years old. She has a twin, and she has cystic. I don't know what she has. It doesn't matter, but she doesn't have any functioning from her hips down. And Jake built this bike for her, and this bike is gonna grow with her. So he built it so as she grows, the bike can fit her still, which I think is so rad because they're so expensive that it's an investment for the parents, not just like, oh, this is gonna last for a year, you know? So that's really cool. If you guys wanna help out, like he was saying, if you're not a frame builder, if you just wanna be a part of this and you don't know how, and you might have the funding or a little bit, Kelly Brush Foundation is great. The Adaptive Sports Center is where I did my internship, and you can donate there. They do scholarships for underserved youth. They do scholarships for people to come, like the Kennedy Krieger Institute. They gave them literally like 30%, 70% off the actual price as what it would take for them to get there. They brought them in from Baltimore to go mountain biking, to go flat water on kayaks and canoes and paddle boards. They do amazing stuff there, and that is, they're able to help people with the funding and all of that kind of stuff. I do what I do. I'm here speaking on behalf of the son and his father. That's the inventor of the free wheel. If anyone's familiar with that, it's a wheel that you put on the end of your chair, and it helps you guide through gravel, rocks, etc., etc. It's an awesome invention, but they hopped around all weekend. I do it for these ladies, this group of Semper Fi women who came out and just had the absolute time of their lives. I do it for these kids who are all riding different kinds of bikes and enjoying it and just having a great time together. Yeah, if you want to talk more, you have more specific questions, I am so happy and willing to talk.
Do you have a booth downstairs?
I do. So I'm at the University of Iowa booth with my bike, and yeah, you can email me. That's my email address. And otherwise, yeah, thank you so much for coming and listening to me talk. I really, really appreciate it. Any more questions? All right, I'm done.